Hello everyone, it's Ryan with Dark Winter Moon in Boston, and today I wanted to share with everyone how to invite the good people, the fairies, the fae, into your space in order to work with them and interact with them. This came about because this week I was working on and thinking about what I wanted to do as far as my social media presence, and the fairies kept coming up. So I decided to do a video where I set up an altar for them and show you how to leave offerings to them and set up an altar to them and open a doorway to invite them into your space. So without further ado, let's get started. So this is the altar that I have set up for the fae, and it's got a few things on there that they like, and I'll kind of go through them in a little more detail in a second. So now I'm going to put a few more things on the altar for them. I have a couple of offerings for them. I have some half and half, so they really like creamy, heavy, rich, fatty liquids, milk products, and some delicious honey for them. They love the sweet things. And also a few pieces of candy. I don't feel like opening them right now. I think that that's gonna come later at some point. And they like shiny things, so I'm gonna adorn the altar with some little trinkets that I have for them. Little pretty shiny things. As you can see, there's a lot of color and shiny things on the altar already. There's a fairy, there's a little gnome, which some would consider in the same kin or kith of the good people. I also have this ankle bracelet, which I sometimes wear in ritual, but it's they like pretty sounding bells. So, and a candle that I'm gonna dedicate to them in a moment. So, color seems to match. So, there you have it. Other than that, setting an altar to the fae is just like the other video that I'm gonna link in this one as well, where I talked about setting an altar. A lot of it's very intuitive, and so just trust yourself. So I've laid out and I've prepared the space. So the next thing I'm going to do is open a doorway for them. I already have a fairy door. I'm going to show you that in a moment, and I'll walk you through the process of what I'm going to do for that. So as I said before, I'm going to open a doorway for them. And so to start with, I have this fairy door. A few years ago, I got this at a Renaissance fair. And as with many things fairy, it drew me. So I chose that, or I chose one of their options. This door seemed appropriate. I've had it for a long time, but haven't really officially opened it, per se. I asked them to what kind of stone that they wanted by their doorway, and this one resonated. It's a piece of polished quartz. So we have that. I also felt like they needed some sort of like threshold or landing, so I chose this lovely piece of plastic that was covering a candle that I got that I've been holding on to for some years, and this piece of paper. And we also have this perfume oil that I've had for a long time called Pleasures that I'm going to anoint the door with. And a bell. Like I said, they like bells. So first things first, the dedication of the door. So like I said, have that. Just a bit of Pleasures. So good people, for your pleasure and mine, I anoint this portal between our worlds to welcome you into my place, in my space. May you be pleased and may you be welcomed. So mote it be. So now I have the doorway set and the items in place. The one other item that I'm going to need for this is my athame. And so I am going to use my athame to cut a doorway. And for those of you that might not be familiar with that, in ritual space, if for some reason or another, after you've already opened the circle and called the powers, if for some reason someone needs to leave the circle, then you have to cut a doorway in the magical barrier. So I'm using the theory of that in order to open a doorway between the worlds. So this is something that is potentially dangerous. It's something to be done with caution. One caveat that I will use, or that I will say to anyone that is wanting to do this, is to make sure that you are very clear in your intention as far as who and what you're letting in as far as their intentions. So what I mean by that, for instance, one phrase that I usually use when dealing with the good people is, all of you that mean me well. So my intent for this is that I only permit in those fae that mean me well. Now, your intent may be something different, but just remember that whatever your intent is, that is what you'll get. So like I said again, for my intent, I'm going to invite in only those fae, those good people that mean me well. Also, for my purposes, I want to remain mindful. I share a home with 3 other people, and I am only inviting the fae into my own space. And in that regard, my space pretty much has a weak defined magical boundary around it all the time, a weak circle that's up. So I'm asking the powers that hold that line for me, the elementals that stand at the 4 quarters of my space, to also define that boundary for me magically and for the fae magically, so that I'm only inviting them into and permitting them access to my own space. So keep that in mind as well when you're doing this, that keep in mind where you want the fae to be and what area you want them to come into specifically. So with all that said, I'm ready to open the door. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to ring the bell, not only to get the attention of the good people, but also to clear the air, to energetically smooth things out, and to make them ready. So next, I'm going to take my athame and begin. To entreat with the good people, all thee that mean me well, I open a doorway, this doorway, between the worlds, and I permit thee entry into my space, into my place, into these bounds between the worlds, between the elementals that I have set for my space. I invite you into my space. The door's open. You're free to come and go as you please, all the good people that mean me well. I welcome you into my space. Hail and welcome, and so mote it be. So, the fairy door is open. The altar is set. The one final thing to do is light their candle and officially welcome them. Light their flame and let them in. So, to do that, like I said, I have this candle. It's a lovely, sweet, almost candy scent, which is not something that I would normally go for. However, it's something that the good people tend to like. And this is about them. There we are. So hail, good people, all thee that mean me well. You're welcome to my space and my place. I look forward to the wisdom and laughter, the joy and teaching, the companionship and love you bring to this space. Hail and welcome. Please enjoy these offerings I've given to you and these pretty things I've laid out for you. Tokens of my regard and my hope that we will become closer. Hail and welcome, and so mote it be. So there you have it. If you want to read more about my own personal experiences with the good people, then please check out my blog on my website at darkwintermoon.boston. You can also find me on Instagram at dark.winter.moon. And I also now have an Etsy shop, Dark Winter Moon. Please check it out. And as always, I really appreciate you joining me and would really appreciate your likes, subscribes, and comments. That really helps me out. And as always, have a wonderful week and blessed be.